Celtics taking on the Heat. Loved seeing the Celtics honoring Bill Russell with the number 6 on their warm-ups. Today would have been his 90th birthday. But to the game we go. Kristaps Porzingis in the first quarter, Ramona.
Boy, he has given them so much of an optionality on offense and defense, surprisingly.
Correct. Second quarter, you know who was going to get into his bag. Jason Tatum. The Celtics would lead 59-50 at half. But to the third quarter, scary moment here. Terry Rozier, watch this. He drives in for the layup, but lands awkwardly on his leg. He would head to the locker room and would not return and would get an MRI later today. Now in the fourth quarter, Celtics, their lead is 9, and then things got chippy. Jaylen Brown, Duncan Robinson, arms were entangled, words were said. Do you like this, Ramona, from the Celtics?
Yeah, these two teams have so much history. These players have so much history. This was the Eastern Conference Finals last year. We all know how that ended.
Talk your ish.
But a lot to the Celtics.
That is true, but a little bit revenge mode because Tatum had 26, 10, and 9, flirted with a triple-double. Celtics go on to win 110-106. Look at the All-Stars right there.
Bam, covering his mouth. Don't read my lips.
The Celtics led by as many as 15 against the Heat team that was without, by the way, major pieces. But Boston came up clutch in the end. Boston outscored Miami 11-6 in clutch time, and that was all the difference in the win, and that's something that they've actually done all season long. The Celtics have been one of the best clutch teams in the league this season. So the Celtics are winning, but it has not been easy. Essentially, half of their games have come down to clutch time. So, Perk, you've been pretty critical of Boston at points this year. What, if anything, is keeping them from being your title favorites right now?
Well, it's the physicality offensively. We know that they have all-world defenders. When you think about Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, right, Porzingis, anchoring the defense and being a hell of a shot blocker. But when you also have that personnel, I would love to see more post-ups from the wings and the guards. When you think about Jason Tatum, 6'9", 6'10", wide shoulders, and his variety of moves that he have on that low block and mid-post areas. Drew Holiday is an underrated post guard, post player in the league. When he gets a player of his size, his strength and his ability to get to his spots is so underrated. It's times where you see Jaylen Brown somewhat disappear throughout the offense. So again, it's about finding that balance and not just being a three-point shooting team, because if those threes are not falling, what else are you going to lean on? And I feel like they have the personnel to do it. They just have to get it done and start practicing it now.
You're right, Perk. You know, they are 26th or around there in points in the paint. But when you and I sit at this desk right here, we're always talking about signature wins. Boston, they don't have many since we hit the calendar year of 2024. Take a look. They are 1-4 against teams in the top 4. Their lone win was in overtime against Minnesota. So, Ramona, do you have any reservations about the Celtics right now?
You know, look, they're so dependent on that three-point shot. They're designed to create a lot of great shooting from the outside that if they have a bad night, I suppose that I have reservations there. But when you see them at full strength, especially with Porzingis in the lineup now, they look pretty unbeatable to me because they went out, like we all sat here when they traded Marcus Smart and went out and made that big bet on Porzingis, and we all thought, what are they doing? That's the heart and soul of their team that they're trading. Porzingis, though, has been all that they could have ever dreamed he could be and more. I mean, his post-ups, he is, in the last 10 years, he has 2 of the best stats, okay? 1.48 points per post-up, 2 of the top 3. The other one is Nikola Jokic.
Oh.
Okay? He is so good in the post right now and gives him that advantage. And, you know, Brad Stevens said to me, he goes, all you have to do is find him when he has an advantage, which is pretty much always.
Perk, why are you
always
looking
has
shocked?
an advantage.
Perk, why are you looking
all you
shocked?
have to do is find him. And what he does when he has an advantage, whether it's a smaller defender on him and they try to get up under him, or if they put a big on him and he's quicker, all you have to do is find him, and that takes so much pressure off Jason Tatum, or if their shots are not falling.
Well, Momo, I was one of the ones that were very critical when they made this trade because we have witnessed what Marcus Smart has done in the postseason. When it comes down to the postseason, when it matters the most, Kristaps Porzingis still has to show up.
That's true.
I understand he's having a spectacular regular season, but I need to see this in meaningful games. And when it comes to the pressure of playing in the city of Boston, in the state of Massachusetts, he don't realize if you disappear, the media out there, the fans out there will give you the business. So I need to see how he responds when adversity
Where did he start his career, Perk? Where did he start his career?
Moment.
Where was he the unicorn?
New York City, baby.
With the Knicks. You don't think the media was big on him?
No, but they didn't have expectations. Their expectations wasn't to win the championship like it is right now with the Boston Celtics. That's a different.
It's true, but he has played with that kind of media attention, and that's one of the things Brad Stevens liked about him is that he started his career with the Knicks when Kevin Durant himself called him the unicorn. Yeah. So, like, that man knows what it's like to play when the lights are bright.
Look, I've always thought that Kristaps Porzingis is the absolute X factor because he unlocks their spread the floor offense. But when I look at this team, I really think that their weakness is not necessarily that they shoot too many threes. It's their choice in doing it in the fourth quarter when they can get downhill and attack the basket. And also people will say, like, okay, you can't win the game that way by shooting so many threes. They take the most threes in the NBA. Well, teams that have won, we're talking about dynasties today off of the Super Bowl, the Golden State Warriors, they were top 2 in defense when they were shooting those threes. The Celtics, they have very similar rubric of success, but now they have to get the championship that Golden State has been seeking after. But if there are some small questions on the Boston Celtics, there might be some bigger questions with the Milwaukee Bucks because they are still third in the conference, but just 2-5 since Doc Rivers took over. Are we in the whole must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks, especially with a matchup against the defending champs?
Let's dial back, must win. Let's pump the brakes on that. But I think this is the single biggest story in the NBA over the last 30 games of the regular season. What kind of team are the Milwaukee Bucks going to be? Because it's been uneven, a little rough, not as good as the record. Doc Rivers hasn't solved the problems at least yet. And at some point, look, this team is old. Giannis has spent a lot of this season cranky in the media. They got to go on a run where for 2 or 3 straight weeks, they look like a team that can actually win 4 playoff series, because that's the goal. And they haven't looked like that team for any stretch of this season of consequence or any real length. And the last thing I'll say on this Bucks-Nuggets game, start to keep an eye on the race for the #1 seed in the West, because home court was big for Denver last year in their playoff run. We've got a big Minnesota Clippers game later tonight. Those 4 teams are all close together, and I think that #1 seed is important.
It is very important. Perk, are you a believer in the Bucks? Because last time we talked, I just remember you saying deer hunting season.
Yeah. Well, one, Zach, let's not pump the brakes. Actually, let's smash the gas even more, put the pedal to the floor. Look, this is a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a signature win.
Stop.
When the Lakers were struggling, when the Lakers were struggling after the after the in-season tournament, I heard Anthony Davis going to Oklahoma City and say, we're in a must-win situation. You know why? Because a team that have championship aspirations and they're going against another elite team that is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's their measuring stick. So when I think about what's with this game tonight, you have Jokic, the Finals MVP, the defending champs, are coming into your hometown, into your house, and they have plans on track and mud all through there, standing on your furniture. It's time for your 2 top 75 players in Giannis and Dame to show up and show out. You have a new coach. You have Patrick Beverley, who is the emotional leader, a guy that's going to hold guys accountable. You're pretty much healthy. Yes, you're missing Chris Middleton, but you have pieces that can fill in for tonight's game. So if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard, you're walking into your arena and you're going to take this personal, and this should be your signature win to turn your season and the chemistry around.
Perk,
Look
what did you think?
Grab the clipboard already. Look at it.
Perk, what did you think when you saw Patrick Beverley grabbing the clipboard?
I was thinking, I told you so, because didn't I tell you that was the effect that was going to happen when he got there? Look at it. But how can you hate it? Like, you want a guy with that much passion. Doc Rivers loved that, and the players should embrace that. A guy that actually cared, that gives a damn about winning.
I wouldn't say that today is a must-win for the Milwaukee Bucks because they're going up against Jokic and the defending champs. But I will say that we need to start seeing these wins, and what a luxury it is to have some sort of identity crisis. You have a coaching change, and you're trying to figure things out and still be third in the East, Ramona.
Look, they have bought themselves some time to figure this out because they racked up the wins, right? I mean, as Doc Rivers laughed about coaching the All-Star game because of that record, and he just got there. But they bought themselves some time to figure this out, but it's been rough. as Zach said, it's uneven defensively. They haven't been the team that they should be. They've missed Drew Holiday more than I think than anyone would have imagined, especially defensively. Chris Middleton hasn't been healthy like they were expecting. And Dame and Giannis have not quite found their groove yet. Now, before the season, they said, we know this is all happening. Giannis signed that extension, took some of the pressure off them. But anyone in Milwaukee will tell you this. Giannis will tell you this. When you have Giannis on your team, the pressure is always on. The pressure is always on to win. And what Zach is alluding to and what he said there was very important, the way you said that, Zach. The type of team that the Bucks are the rest of the season is the most important story in the NBA for the rest of the year. I tend to agree with you there because of how important Giannis is, because of the pressure he puts on organizations and around the league, even despite that extension.
Yeah.
I'm on fire.